Orange Bowl also for the post-game reaction of Miami beating Florida State by the score of 34-20.
A lot of little touches go into every new Plymouth Neon. A very powerful 132 horsepower.
With Florida State's loss, there are now 12 unbeatens. One of the unbeatens will fall when Colorado State and Arizona is done. Early in the first, Anthony Hill touchdown to Justin Shule, the tight end. Colorado State had a chance for a field goal in the second quarter. They missed it. Steve McLaughlin did not miss his. Right now, Colorado State leading Arizona by 4. We'll keep a close eye on this, as they will, on SportsCenter. Texas A&M moving on in the Astrodome. They struggled early. It was scoreless after 1, but they will easily send Houston to 0-5. The Aggies unbeaten. Utah also unbeaten, taking on San Diego State. Tim Gutierrez, the quarterback for the Aztecs, to Ken Overby, 9 yards for the score. Game tied at 7, but bad news for Aztec fans on this play. Gutierrez hit from behind by Bronzell Miller. Gutierrez, broken clavicle. He will have surgery this evening, out for the season. Utah has come back and added another touchdown from Mike McCoy, and right now the Utes, first time in the poll in 47 years, they lead by 10. Well, Florida State, Miami. We talked about the quarterbacks in your first Florida State-Miami game. Last year, Frank Costa didn't get it done. This year he did. Now he's standing by with Mike Adamle.
Okay, thank you, Michael. Frank Costa, how sweet it is. You said you waited 364 days for this moment. Tonight, sweet redemption.
No feeling like this in the world. I mean, there were so many people doubting us and our team and really me, and they said I couldn't win a big game, and they said we couldn't beat Florida State with me being a quarterback. And all those guys over at ESPN, Craig James and everybody, hey, we beat them.
There were also questions that perhaps after the loss to Washington that Miami's dynasty was on the wane. A lot of questions answered there in that respect as well.
We're right back in it. We're right back in the national championship hunt. And that's our only goal, and we're right back where we need to be. Beat the number 3 team in the country, played great at home, and hey, we can't ask for anything else. If people want to keep doubting us, hey, we'll just keep winning.
Frank, Chino was talking to us tonight about the pressures of inheriting the mantle here at quarterback. How tough has the pressure been on you this season? You've obviously been able to adapt somewhat.
Well, you know, I'm dealing with it a lot better this year than I did last year, and you know, it was kind of tough for me last year, you know, following the footsteps of Heisman Trophy winner, won a national championship, played for it another year, and, you know, it was tough for me, but, you know, I'm dealing with a lot better this year. I'm really not listening to what anybody says, and I use it as positive fuel, and you know, right now it's working out for me, and I'm going to continue to keep that same attitude.
Frank, congratulations. Enjoy the victory. You're back in the hunt.
All right.
Michael?
Mike, thank you. We're going to get right back down to the Orange Bowl, to Chris Craig and the coach. We'll bring in Bino Cook as well momentarily for more on this game. Now, if you didn't catch it, if you were out at a game today, the big story of the day. Notre Dame, opportunity to erase last year's disappointment, going up to Massachusetts to take on Boston College, team that kept the Irish from the title last year. Ron Paulus did start. He said his groin didn't bother him all that much, but without 4 starters, Notre Dame couldn't get it done offensively. And a good effort, too. Let's give credit to BC's defense. Terrence Wiggin, the pick. Craig James has been talking about this. What a big play it was in the early going. The fake field goal. Matt Hasselbeck's first down sets up David Green's touchdown. BC led 7-3. Notre Dame did cut it at one point down to a 13-point lead, but they couldn't get any closer. Boston College snaps the Irish 16-game road win streak. Really the story here, Boston College able to dominate time of possession and the game on the ground. In the Big Ten, Illinois going to Ohio State, where they'd won 3 straight, 10-10. See the time's done in the third quarter. But Johnny Johnson's not going deep and finding Jasper Strong. A 49-yard Illini hookup. They add another score, and Illinois beats Ohio State for the 4th straight time in Columbus. Bobby Hoying, the OSU quarterback, picked off 3 times. Seen earlier today on ESPN, Bianca Patuca, 141, Wheatley, 153. Michigan wins by 20, playing Penn State next week. At the Texas State Fairgrounds, the Cotton Bowl, the Red River rivalry. Texas, Oklahoma, nearly an interception that would have ended the game, but one final chance for Oklahoma, down 7 in the 4th quarter. They call a reverse. James Allen, but Stoney Clark, the nose tackle, is there to snuff it out. And the Longhorns, after the emotional loss to Colorado, bounce back to beat Oklahoma. Bryant Westbrook, 2 big interceptions for John Makovic's team. in the SEC. Auburn, would they be looking past Mississippi State to Florida next week? Terry's Tigers were strong. Looking for 17 straight. Patrick Nix to Frank Sanders. Big play here. They hook up twice on the day. Nix had 3 touchdowns, 311 yards in all. A very frustrating day in Starkville for the Bulldogs. Their worst loss under Jackie Sherrill. Auburn is now 6-0. School record 17 straight wins. Terry Bowden still hasn't lost. They get the Gators next week in the Swamp, a 5-game homestand for the #1 team in the land. Starting off quite well. Big defensive day for Florida. Anthone Lott with the interception, and Ronnie Lott's cousin goes 88 yards for the 3rd longest INT return for a touchdown in Florida history. Good ground game as well. Fred Taylor over 100 yards. Terry Dean 20 of 38 for 217 yards. And the Gators are now 5-0. You haven't seen Napoleon Kaufman yet today, folks. How about the Heisman candidate from Seattle? Earlier on the first play of the game, a 91-yard touchdown run. Then a 3, and then this, a 76-yard scamper. Kaufman, a career high, 254 yards. That's his 3rd time over 200 yards this year. He breaks O.J. Simpson's Pac-10 record, 3,575 yards, as Washington struggles but beats San Jose State by 14. Boy, the big picture did change a little bit this second Saturday in October with what happened there today and what we saw tonight in the Orange Bowl. For some perspective on what's gone on, let's go back down to Miami and rejoin Chris Fowler. Chris.
All right, Mike, thank you very much. The Orange Bowl clearing out except for the corner where our set is located, and a lot of Hurricane fans were celebrating their entrance back into the national title picture. A streak is still alive here in Miami. 23 straight wins for the Hurricanes at night. This atmosphere, Lee, we talked about it all week long. Danny Cannell, a first-year starter. His biggest start on the road had been at College Park, Maryland. This was not College Park, Maryland tonight.
No, Chris, it was almost impossible to beat Miami in this kind of atmosphere, especially with the sense of urgency they had. Remember, their only goal is the national title, and they're back in the hunt right now. Florida State has nothing to be ashamed of, because I don't think any football team in the nation could have beaten Miami tonight here with this atmosphere.
I'll go as far as to say this. Troy Aikman, playing quarterback for Florida State, could not have won this game for them because of the crowd noise that was here. The offense never was able to concentrate and to get into sync. They didn't come off the ball, never established a running game. And in terms of Frank Costa calling me out, Frank, I will never doubt you or the Miami Hurricanes as long as I'm a broadcaster again when you play in the Orange Bowl.
Frank Costa told us this week he would take a hit every play if that's what it took, and that's just about what it was in the second half. He kept getting himself up off the grass and just getting to the next play. Well, this game, as we told you, it certainly has an effect on the national title picture. Bino Cook is going to join us now from Pittsburgh. Bino, now 1 loss for Florida State, 1 loss for Miami, Notre Dame with 2 losses. It really shakes up the picture.
Well, Notre Dame's out of it for this year. They can get ready for next year, and they will be a contender next year. The big problem for Florida State and Miami is that Penn State and Arizona must lose. If either of those teams go all the way, Florida State, Miami, any team with a loss doesn't have a shot at the national title.
And also the chance of an unbeaten opponent now for, say, Florida in the Sugar Bowl if they remain unbeaten, or Colorado or Nebraska in the Orange Bowl is gone now. So it's really a wide-open free-for-all. I don't know if anybody's going to survive, though, Craig, without a loss this season the way it's going so far.
I think one thing that you have to consider right now is that Florida is the bad team that comes out of this thing, because Florida State is going to have to be jacked up. Their back is to the wall, and they got to win. So therefore, when Florida State plays against Florida, they're going to have to win that ball game, just like Florida State last year beat Miami in order to stay alive in the title hunt, and the big man is coming up.
That's a good point. Now, let me go over one point about Miami. Now, Miami won a big ball game, but they got to be very, very careful. They got Syracuse in the Dome in a couple of weeks, and that could be a big ball game. Florida State, the last time they lost the game, they put it in second gear, ran the table, and won the national championship. So they're not out of this thing either. Now, as we're talking about, a lot of people can lose one game and still win a national championship.
Greg mentioned it. The big guy has shown up. Warren Sapp has joined us. Now, squeeze in here, big guy. Talk about the effort of the defense. You guys had so much adversity. Sometimes the offense puts you in tough position, but you just kept fighting.
Well, I mean, to win any championship, we have to be the one that takes the load on our backs to stop the offense whenever, you know, they make mistakes. And we made a couple mistakes tonight, but we made up for them and stopped them.
You really sold out on the series after the fumble by Ferguson. Florida State had momentum. I saw you just go nuts, and that one series held them to a field goal. Thought it was a major point.
Well, I mean, we knew we had to stop them right there, because if we didn't, we was going to be in for a dogfight the rest of the fourth quarter. So, I mean, that was a big momentum switch for us to stop them right there, and luckily we got them.
Warren, in the second quarter, it looked like your defense, prior to the interception there, it looked like you guys were getting a little tired. Did it ever get to you?
No, not really. I mean, this is our house. We know how to play in this humidity and this heat. I mean, it doesn't bother us. But, I mean, to run around and chase those guys with great speed like Florida State has, you're going to get a little winded if you're playing as hard as you're supposed to be.
Warren, one important point here. You had your wake-up call. You lost to Washington. It put your backs to the wall. Now you have a tendency to hit the tank. What are you guys going to do to keep them losing now?
I mean, we got the momentum going right now, and there's no way we're going down again. I mean, this ball is rolling again, and we finna move it on.
But you'd like to have that second half back against Washington, I'm sure.
No, we just like to have that 5 minutes back in the third quarter. That's all we want back.
Reaction to the crowd here. You seem to feed off this atmosphere tonight. It's a different situation at night. I know here you guys haven't lost in 23 games. What are you, playing cheerleader at this point?
Nah, just going and celebrating, having a little fun with the fans. I mean, that's what they come here for, the show, and I'm here to give it to them.
A lot of folks counted you guys out coming into this game. A second loss this early in the season would have buried you for a second straight year in the national title hunt.
I mean, we really don't worry about what other people have to say. The only people that really matter is our family and the people that work hard every day with us out there on that practice field, and that's all that matters to us.
Warren, a lot of guys around the country have looked at this team as one that always looks over its shoulder at the past teams, the great teams of the past. Did this win tonight establish an attitude for the 94 Canes?
I mean, we just wanted to come out and play well, and it's very difficult to beat a team like Florida State with all the great players they have. But tonight we just kept plugging and plugging. If you keep plugging, good things happen for you as a defense, and we did that tonight.
You got anything left? You leave it all out there?
Nah, I left it all. I'm about to fall out now.
Well, we appreciate you climbing the stairs and joining us here. We're going to continue with more from the Orange Bowl. Miami beats Florida State 34-20. You can tell what this win meant to Dennis Erickson as he walked off the field.
Can you tell which man is at home and which is in a Residence Inn hotel room?
Honey, can you take out the garbage?
That was a hint. Residence Inn by Marriott, the next best thing to home.
I can't. Philadelphia, we've got you in mind.
Hi, welcome to Howard Johnson's.
Yes, Howard Johnson's restaurant on Roosevelt Boulevard is serving up hearty all-you-can-eat meals and special deals 7 days a week. Enjoy our delicious desserts and your favorite beverages without breaking your pocketbook. Enjoy our shrimp and seafood buffet and all-you-can-eat seafood treat at a price you can't forget. Catch it, only $9.95. So bring the whole family to Howard Johnson's on the Boulevard at Adams Avenue in the Northeast.
Erdenheim Cycle and Fitness Center challenges you to be the best you can be. Get serious about it at Erdenheim's new Fitness Equipment Center. Now's the time to achieve the level of fitness you've been dreaming about. Come to our grand opening sale starting Friday, October 7th through the 11th for blowout prices on steppers, exercycles, recumbents, and more. Buy now and pay later with approved credit. You'll find the same great service you've come to expect. Erdenheim Cycle and Fitness Center on Bethlehem Pike between Flowertown and Chestnut Hill. Don't dream about it, be it.
This college football scoreboard is presented by Residence Inn by Marriott, the next best thing to home.
SportsCenter on the way soon. We're going to get you right back out to the Orange Bowl. In the interim, more scores and highlights of what is going on, including Stanford and Arizona State in the Pac-10. A couple of teams that have really gotten off to disappointing conference starts. Exciting play here. Damon Dunn takes the kickoff at his own goal line, and the Stanford returner is gone. 100 yards on the nose, a big touchdown for Stanford. As Bill Walsh's team trying to bounce back. At that point, that was their only touchdown, and it still is. At the half, Arizona State leads 28, despite the fact that Steve Stenstrom has become the Pac-10's all-time leading passer. Fresno State and BYU. First quarter, no score. Fresno's first play from scrimmage. David Dunn, how about some razzle-dazzle? Takes the reverse, and he's going to pass to a wide-open Charlie Jones. 67 yards for the score. Fresno takes a 7-0 lead at that point. Since then, BYU's been able to chip back. Fresno did lead 14-0. That lead is now down to 2 in the second in the WAC. Earlier today, back to the top 25, Nebraska. Here's one of the wilder plays of the day. John Vedral, I should say, taking the snap in deep trouble on this extra point try, finds the kicker Darren Erstad for a 2-point conversion. Nebraska won, but Brooke Behringer hurt, left the game with a recurrence of that lung injury, not back in for precautionary reasons in the second half. What a day for Lawrence Phillips. The Colorado Buffs. Big 8 opener against Missouri. Bill McCartney said his team wasn't sharp on either side of the ball. Missouri played its best football for 4 quarters this year, and still wasn't close. Rashawn Salam at a $166 and 2 scores. Colorado beat Missouri by 15. Colorado wins its 6th straight Big 8 opener. Also today, in the SEC, the Alabama Crimson Tide, they struggled and lost Jay Barker, who injured his shoulder. MRI tomorrow. Then we'll find out if he's going to be ready for next Saturday night against Tennessee on ESPN. In the ACC, the Johnsons each had over 100 yards. It was real close. Carolina needed a fourth-quarter score to beat Georgia Tech. Louisville knocks North Carolina State from the ranks of the unbeaten. Game was tied at 14, the last 21 for Anthony Shellman and the Cards. Virginia Tech, a bounce-back game as they win. Temple still has not beaten a Big East team. Syracuse on a good roll. They've now won 5 straight after that 1-point loss to start the season against Oklahoma. 618 total yards for the Orange. Washington State, they're 2-0, getting ready for Arizona in the Palouse next week, giving up just 7 to Oregon. And Wisconsin, down 14-10 at the half, rallies to beat Northwestern very easily in Evanston. An interesting day, not only in terms of the national championship picture, but the Heisman picture. And as one picture tries to clear up, this one continues to get more muddled. Terry Dean, a very solid afternoon, but not impressive numbers. Napoleon Kaufman, outstanding in the Washington victory. Aaron McNair on the deuce in a 7-point Alcorn State win. Did have 3 INTs. Lawrence Phillips, he has to be a candidate. He's carrying the Nebraska offense now. Rashawn Salam, of course you're going to go down from that great 300-plus yard effort that he had last week against Texas. Cordell Stewart's numbers improved today. Tyrone Wheatley has looked very good, over 150 yards the last 2 games, and he also had a touchdown receiving, and Eric Zier's number impressive as Georgia beat Clemson. For more discussion on this, let's go back to Chris, Craig, and the coach, Mr. Fowler.
Mike, thank you. You guys have now seen the Heisman stats and what happened today. I think we expected the big day from Napoleon Kaufman. You have to welcome a couple of Big 8 running backs into the race, and Lawrence Phillips and also Rashawn Salam, who continue to pile up the big numbers and help carry their offenses. Analysis of the Heisman right now.
Okay, I still think Terry Dean is my favorite for one reason. He's the #1 quarterback on the #1 scoring team in the nation. He's got 11 straight starts as a starter and wins. And I think the big battle will be Zier against Dean when Florida plays Georgia in Gainesville. That could be because Zier is coming fast.
Yeah, he's a great competitor too, and if I had to put a vote in there today, he'd probably be at the top of the list. But Napoleon Kaufman has several soft defenses that he will play the rest of this season, save and except the last game of the year on November the 19th at Washington State, which is a respectable, good, great defense, matter of fact, against the rush. If he goes out and continues on this 200-yard pace and has a good game against Washington State, Napoleon Kaufman could be the guy.
I agree with you. He's going to get a lot of touches, going to get a lot of opportunities to pile up some big numbers, but I'm not sure the Heisman picture's any more set than it was when we came into today. Once again, Miami beats Florida State. Steve Cipher is standing by now with some post-game reaction. Steve?
All right, thanks, Chris. Coach, you see Miami had the breaks and you missed opportunities tonight. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, you can wrap up the whole thing and make this a short speech. They out-executed us. That was the only difference.
Why the quarterback change?
Well, we're just hoping something would happen, I guess. Nothing was happening, and I guess we were hoping something would happen, and it didn't. So then we decided to go ahead and throw the young guy in and see if he could make something happen. We started to go back with Cannell, but it didn't seem to make a difference. We executed poorly. They out-executed us. I don't want to take anything away from them.
Does this take your team out of the national championship picture?
One loss doesn't take anybody out of it because we still got #1 on our schedule. As long as you've got that, if we could win the rest of our games and beat #1, it would throw us in a championship game. But we'll take the next game by itself, really.
All right, Coach Bowden, thank you very much. Chris, back to you.
Thank you, Mike.
All right, Steve, just 13 first downs, 47 yards rushing for Bowden's offense, and what he feared, not a great game by his young quarterback in a very tough situation. Bino Cook is with us on the Residence Inn scoreboard. Bino, your thoughts on the Heisman race now after what you've seen fall out?
Well, I think Mr. Carter from Penn State has a very good chance to win it if he plays next week. If he has the great day against Michigan and Penn State wins, Penn State's going to finish the regular season 11-0. I think Tyrone Wheatley is still in it. Remember, in 1943, Angelo Batelli only played half the season and then went into the Marines. Wheatley is still in it. A lot depends next week what happens in that game, in my opinion.
I'm sure you remember the 1943 Heisman race. I don't have a great recollection of that. Okay. More coming up later on our post-game show. 34-20, the score here at the Orange Bowl. Florida State knocked from the ranks of the unbeaten. A very big win for Dennis Erickson. There haven't been many bigger than that. This guy's won some national championships.
Team needs new jerseys. Person has to deliver them overnight. Goes to post office. Finds express mail as a smart solution. Guarantees delivery. Jerseys arrive on time. Person avoids getting sacked.
An examination of your AT&T bill could reveal savings you never received. Savings you'll see when you switch to MCI, which is why thousands of businesses are getting a second opinion from MCI. So call us. You'll feel a lot better. Millions of dollars of lost savings. Savings you never received because your business used AT&T, which is why thousands of businesses are demanding proof. Call MCI and see how much of this is yours.
The temperature never drops below Xerex. That's very important to remember, especially at a time like this, when it's very deserted and very cold. Ah, you did remember Xerex Antifreeze. The temperature never drops below Xerex.
When sports cream? When arms are sore. When legs ache. When muscles hurt. Why sports cream? Massaging sports cream in brings fast pain relief. No medicine-y smell. No odor. Why sports cream? Because it works.
Golf ball distributor gets urgent order. Customers in Kyoto. She's in LA. Goes to post office. Finds Express Mail International as a smart solution. Doesn't cost much. Golf balls arrive by tea time.
The Residents in College Football Scoreboard Show continues. Some of the top performers of the day, not in Division 1A, but in 1AA. Chris Hatcher of Valdosta State from actually Division 2 may have cinched the Harlan Hill Trophy, the Division II version of the Heisman, with his great effort head-to-head against Roger Graham of New Haven. Boston University continues its solid roll. Carnell Henderson, the part of a big day in the run and shoot, catching the Robert Doherty passes. And in the Battle of Indiana, Butler and Valpo, Arnold Nickens was a busy man. He's a sore man tonight, but I'm sure he is a happy man. Let's update some of the scores that are still going on in college football tonight. Colorado State still leading Arizona. The Desert Swarm is getting pushed. Steve McLaughlin, a pair of field goals. SportsCenter will keep an eye on it once we are done here. It's a final in the Astrodome. Texas A&M has won 5 straight this season. They continue their impressive Southwest Conference strength. And the Utes of Utah leading San Diego State by 10. The story, Tim Gutierrez out for the season with a broken clavicle. Thanks for watching. A great day of college football here on ESPN. For Chris, Craig, the coach, Bino Cook, and everyone else, I'm Mike Tirico. Stay tuned. Gary and Steve have SportsCenter next.
Coming up next on SportsCenter, we kick off a busy Saturday. We hit you hard and often with the coaches and the catches. We've got the big blocks and the big bands, the big runs, the Bulldogs and the big dogs, the Buffaloes and Brian versus the Bills, the Hurricanes and the Horns, the Heels, the Heisman hopefuls, the high hurdles, and yes, even the high moms. Let's not forget the horses. We've got fake field goals and fired up fans, solid sticks and timely picks, presidential rides and rolling tides. We'll provide fun for the whole family and feed you as many highlights as you can bear on SportsCenter. Next.
Hi, everybody. Steve Levy, Gary Miller. We welcome you to SportsCenter. You just know after what happened in the shadows of Touchdown Jesus last season that Notre Dame would be ready for today's visit to Boston College, or at least you'd have thought so.
They had one loss, couldn't afford another for a national championship. BC a lowly 1-2 coming in. In a clash of the country's last 2 remaining Catholic colleges in Division I, BC coach Dan Henning has referred to Notre Dame in mythological proportions and opposing coach Lou Holtz as Zeus. Henning had coached under Holtz with the Jets, quarterback for him at William William & Mary. Now he had a chance to enhance a sputtering inaugural season with the Eagles at the expense of his mentor. And a full house at Chestnut Hill. Ron Paulus was healthy enough to play, had that banged up groin. He scrambled, throws deep, looking long, into a field of 3, and Terrence Wiggin picks it off. BC 4th down, going for the field goal. Oh, they're not. The fake. Matt Hasselback takes the snap, runs for the first down, and it was that kind of a charmed day. Bulling in with a bigger line on both the offensive and defensive ends. David Green goes through the Irish for a 7-3 lead. Third quarter, BC on the move. The trickery again. Clarence Cannon takes the reverse. Not pretty, but it's there for the first down. Omari Walker takes it in from 2 yards out. They score in their first 3 possessions. But remember, a year ago they were up 21 going to the fourth quarter. Paulus tries to rally the Irish. The pump fake, looking long. And again, it's Terrence Wiggin denying the Irish their Wiggin out in Chestnut Hill. As bedlam ensues, what do you think the intoxication level is in suburban Boston right now? Paulus sacked 4 times, 5 for 21 on the day for just 50 yards. It's the Irish worst loss since November of '91 when they got blasted at Penn State. That was their last road loss before the Eagles snapped the school record 16-game road win streak. That's how huge the win was for Henning, how devastating for Holtz.
I told the players, I was an assistant coach with Washington, and we won 2 Super Bowls, and this one ranks up there because it's as a head coach, it's as an underdog against a team that I've mentioned time and time again in the last 2 weeks. This is a mythological giant in college football.
That was not Notre Dame. That's not the way Notre Dame should be, and that's not the way Notre Dame's going to be. At the end of that ball game, I made a commitment to myself, and our players and our coaches and to Notre Dame. We're going to get this god-dog thing turned around.
Their title hopes dash for the 2nd straight fall by BC. Notre Dame's got 5 games left, but already Holtz's team has committed more turnovers, been sacked more often, with 4 of those on the day, allowed 11 rushing scores, 2 more than all of last season. At Florida Field in Gainesville, the nation's number one Steve Spurrier, hosting mistake-prone LSU. First quarter, Fred Taylor bursting. Look at the holes, the sloppy tackling by the Bengals, and his own man will shove him into the end zone. 16-yard score. He ran up 136 yards in the day. Curly Hallman's team has been bedeviled by INTs all year long. The freshman Melvin Hill overthrows his receiver. Antoine Lott picks it off. No one, if the defense can't tackle, how can the offensive lineman? He goes 88 yards. That's the 3rd longest INT for a score in Florida history. And the Gator is having his way. 42-18, they've beaten LSU 7 straight times now, despite allowing their first second-half touchdown all year. Dean's 11-0 as a starter. Auburn and the nation's longest win streak welcome them next Saturday. It'll be in Florida where the Gators have 17 straight SEC wins. In Lincoln, Fraserless, Nebraska, hosting Oklahoma State. Tom Osborne trying to rally his troops, and Lawrence Phillips picking up the load. Turns the corner on the Cowboys. Stutter steps, jitters, 45 yards later. He had 103 yards in the first quarter. He was just getting started. Bulls in, had 221 in the day. 3 times he reached the end zone. Everything went right for Nebraska. Not quite on the snap. Look out. John Bedrell fumbles, scrambles. Somebody's got to be back there somewhere, and it is. It's Darren Erstead, the kicker. 2-point conversion. They went on to blow him out 32-3. Oklahoma State rushed 31 times for 40 yards. Nebraska rolled up 372 on the ground, remaining unbeaten against the Cowboys in their last 33 meetings. Next Saturday, fellow unbeaten Kansas State on the road. Steve?
First time since '86, the Miami-Florida State game would not be a matchup of 2 top 10 teams. First time since '87 that neither went in number 1 or 2. Dennis Erickson didn't seem to mind, and when a coach is that fired up, just imagine what the players were like. The Orange Bowl would be juiced for this one. As seen earlier tonight on ESPN, Hurricanes were looking to blow the torch off the Seminoles. Already forcing 1 muff punt. FSU gets the punter Mike Christie again. They block it. FSU would get 14 points on blocked punts. The score was tied at 14. Backup quarterback Ryan Collins in there for one reason, to give him an option. The option is to pass. Hits Derek Harris in the end zone. 21-14 Miami. No ego. Costa doesn't mind sitting out a play or 2. Late third quarter, 24-17. Danny Cannell passing out of his end zone. Picked off by Carlos Jones, who scampers in 16 yards for the touchdown. Cannell would be frustrated, as you would understand and expect. Costa had it last year. This time it's Cannell. Miami wins it 34-20. Speaking of Kinnell, had the rough outing, picked off 3 times. Remember, Charlie Ward, in his first start ever against Miami, had 2 interceptions. Look at him. He's in the NBA. Frank Costa afterwards talked about the game of his young career.
We're right back in it. We're right back in the national championship hunt. And that's our only goal, and we're right back where we need to be. Beat the number 3 team in the country, played great at home, and hey, we can't ask for anything else. If people want to keep doubting us, hey, we'll just keep winning.
We got the momentum going right now, and there's no way we're going down again. I mean, this ball is rolling again, and we finna move it on.
Moving on, Michigan State, Michigan. The 38th president, Gerald Ford, had his number 48 retired at halftime. He was the center on that Michigan line 60 years ago. In the second quarter, Tim Biakabatuka finds the hole. It's see you later. 47 yards down the sideline. George Perlis taking out the frustration on his poor jacket. That would set up Todd Collins. Tyrone Wheatley will swing in the flat 5-yard score. 10-6 Wolverines. Third quarter. 23-6 Michigan. It's Wheatley again, this time on the ground for 10 in the score, his third of the game. Michigan rolls 40-20. Wheatley and Biakabatuka combined for 294 rushing yards, and clearly that was the key stat. The Wolverines' total rushing yards, 349, just 17 for the Spartans. 26 straight times in this matchup. Whoever won the ground game won the football game. Next football game for Michigan, next Saturday, Penn State coming to Ann Arbor. First time in 22 years, Colorado found itself on the road 3 straight games. At Missouri, Cordell Stewart beats the blitz. Rashaan Salaam, the swing, takes it down to the Missouri 1-yard line. Was knocked out of bounds by Bo Adams. The next play, Stewart, watch the play fake. Finds a wide-open Christian Fourier on the roll for the Colorado touchdown. Larry Smith saying that was too easy. Fourth quarter, Missouri still hanging in. Pump fake, Michael Westbrook dials him up, and what a grab that was. 38-15, Colorado. They go on for the 38-23 win. 9 wins in a row now for Colorado overall. The Buffs undefeated in their last 21 against unranked opponents. The Tigers, they've lost 4 straight at home. The attendance down to 39,000 for today's tilt. Gary?
On a weekend filled with significant rivalries, the second Saturday in October at the Cotton Bowl used to overshadow them all. This afternoon, a return to glory. The Sooners and Longhorns sharing a top 25 ranking as they meet for the first time since Bosworth, Hollowell, and Jackson led Oklahoma to the national title back in 1985. So more at stake this time. Shea Moran's, though, injured for the Longhorns, starting in his place.
Here's Allen.
Oklahoma was trying to do the halfback option from James Allen, picked off by Bryant Westbrook. 23 yards to the Oklahoma 70. He had 2 INTs in the day. That was a big one. James Brown passes to Pat Fitzgerald. Brown filling in for Moran's, also ran one in. But the Sooners had a shot. They got back within a touchdown with 1:07 left. Gary Gibbs looking on nervously. Garrick McGee tries to force it in through 4 Longhorns. Falls incomplete. They still got it down to play with. Same drive, looking deep, and he hands off in the reverse. James Allen, 1 man to beat, stoned by Stoney Clark, who busted him like a Bronco. They win at 17-10 at the Cotton Bowl. Texas has won 5 out of the last 6 in this 89-game series. Sooners dropped to 3-2. Gary Gibbs now 2-13-1 coaching against the Horns, Nebraska, and Colorado. The Buffs next Saturday on the road. In Starkville, Mississippi State hosting Terry Bowden, a 9th-ranked Auburn. The tone set early. Patrick Nix to Frank Sanders. Check this out. Harold Morrow, boom! Completely cleared out Reggie Wilson. That set up a Stephen Davis TD. Then Nix takes over. Patrick Nix bows down, drops back, unloads. Sanders splits 2 defenders. He's gone. Nix 311 yards, 3 touchdowns. Sanders had 2 of them, and he ran up 175 yards receiving. I hate it. They just cannot beat Auburn. They roll 42-18. Davis had 104 on the ground, 554 yards overall. Bowden said it's the best game they've played. It's the biggest loss by the Bulldogs in Jackie Sherrill's 4-year tenure. Bowden still has yet to lose at Auburn. Their 17 straight wins matches the school record. Top-ranked Florida looms next week. In Columbus, Big Ten, the most unwelcome sight in Buckeye country. The visiting Fighting Illini. Rough day for Bobby Hoying. Remember, Dana Howard of Illinois guaranteed a win. He helped it by lateraling to Antoine Patton off his pick. deep into OSU territory. Ty Othard went in. Illinois broke a scoreless tie. Best moment of the day for OSU. Late in the first half, Josh Jackson loves it, puts his team up 10-7. They would not score again. The Illini would open it up. Johnny Johnson wants it all. Jasper Storm with a strong move completely blows away his man. 49 yards later, the Illini on their way to a 24-10 win. They've won 4 straight in Columbus, 6 of 7 against the Buckeyes overall. They shut out Ohio State in the second half and have not allowed a point in the third quarter this season.
Well, just ahead when SportsCenter
college football flood continues. At Chapel Hill, Georgia Tech gets a dose of Johnson & Johnson, but counters with a career day by Tommy Luganville, while NC State hits the road for Louisville and sees the Cards carve up their vaunted defense.
I'm bored. Let's count the palm trees again. Why are you looking at me like that, Iggy? Okay? Cut it out. You're weirding me, man. Stop looking at me like that, would ya? You're creeping me out. Cut that out, man.
For the great taste that won't fill you up and never let you down, make it a Bud Light.
Iggy, you're gonna twist my head off. Iggy.
More from college football land. Georgia Tech in North Carolina. Lathon Flowers, maybe the move of the day. The kick return. Watch the hurdle over the would-be tackler. Flowers will be taken down after a 67-yard return. What a leap. The Yellow Jackets take advantage. Tommy Luganville to Omar Cassidy. His second touchdown as he fights his way in. Game tied at 24. Mac Brown turns to his running game. Leon Johnson knifes through for 8 yards down to the 1. The next play. Give it to the same guy. Why not? He worked for it. Johnson takes it in. His second touchdown. North Carolina escapes 31-24. Jason Stanisiak became North Carolina's total offense leader, running for 54 yards, passing for $120. Passes Charlie Justice on the list. Stanisiak on that last game-winning drive was yelling at the players in the huddle, "You're not tired. You're not tired." 4-0 at 0-4. Texas A&M at Houston. The A&M fans giving their team an idea. Let's put it up in the air. Second quarter, Corey Pulleg to Ryan Matthews for the touchdown. 36-yard score, and it was a rout. Houston didn't cross midfield until midway in the third quarter. 10th straight loss for them overall. The Cougars have been outscored 173-27 this season. Southern Miss visiting the Crimson Tide. Homecoming weekend in Alabama. Tide beat the Eagles at homecoming last year, 40-zip. Heath Graham sacked by Damian Jeffries. That's Matt Parker picks it up and scores. 14-6 tied at the half. Jay Barker injured his shoulder in the third quarter. More on him in a sec. He had to leave the game 2 minutes ago. 14-6. Eagles driving for the tie, but Graham is picked off by Sam Shea. The guy should be a detective. Crimson Tide. They go on for the 14-6 win. King and queen for the day. 14-6, Alabama gets it done. The Tide moves to 6-0. The last 5 wins have come by an average of just 7.2 points. The competition has not been stellar. On Barker, listed as questionable for next week's game against Tennessee, which you'll see here on ESPN.
Becoming one of the myriad of Heisman hopefuls this season has become the quickest way to end up in the hospital. But all Washington's Napoleon Kaufman has done is get better every week. And Saturday afternoon against San Jose State in Seattle, he set a new standard even for himself. And it didn't take long. First play offensively from scrimmage against San Jose State. We're 49 seconds in. That's Kaufman out of the shadows and bursting right through the Spartans. The longest run of his career. He stuck around for his senior season in hopes of a Heisman. 91 yards later, he may lead the field. 7-0 at that point, and the Spartans stayed within 7 with 6:07 left. Kaufman again, taking things into his own hands. This time, a much more important, although not quite as long run. 76 yards later, 254 yards in the day. He scored 3 times, a career high in rushing for him. The Huskies pull it out 34-20. It's his third 200-yard effort this season. The Spartans have never beaten Washington with 6 tries now. It's only the second time they've held an opponent under 45 points this season at Cardinal Stadium. Louisville hosting 18th-ranked NC State. You think that's an odd sight? The homecoming queen was 48 years old. Marty Lowe under pressure, picked off by Dwayne Everett. NC State ties the game at 14. They're looking good. But the Wolfpack turned the ball over 7 times. Third quarter, though, it's still tied at 14. And then Anthony Shellman shelves NC State. Turns the corner, goes a dozen yards, had 137 on the day on 27 carries. The nation's #4 defense allows Louisville 341 total yards. The Cards turn the tables, holding the Wolfpack to 59 rushing. Only other meeting, Johnny Unitas led Louisville's 24-point win in 1951. Lane Stadium in Blacksburg, 20th-ranked Virginia Tech started the scoring with a 25-yard punt return for a touchdown. Maurice DeShazo did the rest, throwing a pair of scores, running for another. Virginia Tech's 5-1. They've won 9 in a row at home.
Prime time at 7 Eastern to wrap it all up.
This is just a glimpse of the unforgettable moments that you can treasure and share in baseball. The new landmark series from the acclaimed filmmaker Ken Burns. Baseball is a sweeping tapestry that shows us how we anguish in defeat, exult in triumph, and relate to the game in terms of our own lives.
The luckiest man on the face of the earth.
This amazing series is now available in a deluxe classic edition only by calling Ken Burns Baseball at this toll-free number. You'll get the first cassette for 10 days free of charge. If you like it, keep it for only $4.95. Future innings will come on the same 10-day free preview basis. Call 1-800-916-0200 and ask how you can get this beautiful $60 companion book absolutely free. Don't miss out. Call right now.
In our business, there's no timeouts and there's no rest.
You're in control of a beast, if you will. That's what a race car is.
You're driving at 230 miles per hour. The wind is hitting the top of your helmet and you cannot control your head movement. Everyone dreams about running over 200 miles per hour. Everybody.
That's where we derive the ultimate satisfaction.
Back to the college gridiron, starting in the Carrier Dome. Syracuse on the move. Kevin Mason. Oh, he lofts it beautifully to Kirby Dardar. They both scored twice and both had over 100 yards. They crushed Pitt 31-7. They've won 5 in a row, while Pitt is 1-5. Oregon against 23rd-ranked Washington State. Big hit time. Oregon's Alex Malden lays out Frank Madu, but the Cougars got revenge. They had 10 sacks in the day of the Ducks, and Chad Davis running the option. He's going to take it himself 27 yards. Washington State wins at 21-7. They'll host Arizona in the Rose Bowl showdown next Saturday. USC at Oregon State. Where's the ball? It's loose. Don Shanklin fumbles as the Beavers were about to go in. Who's got it? Number 55 recovers in the end zone. Touchdown for Starling Latu. Extra point blocked. Where is it? Another loose ball, and Southern Cal's got it. Micah Phillips. Nice juke move. He's got a sideline. He's got some big linemen trying to catch him. He's got a block. He could go. All this for 2 points? We'll take it. USC pulls it out 27-19. Now we'll take you down to the Southwest Conference. Texas Tech at Rice. The Owls, Josh LaRocca goes left. And right there is Marcus Coleman. Tips the pass to himself. Nobody in his way. Rice would come back for the win, 24-21. Let's go back to the Pac-10. UCLA in Berkeley to take on Cal. And to take out Cal quarterback Dave Barr. The blitz, look out. Strip down, out of the game. Kelly McGonigal comes in, and the great McGonigal hits Ayani Baez. Cal blows out UCLA 26-7.
Did somebody say more college football? We've got you covered. Wisconsin Northwestern. Brett Moss breaks through. No problems getting in the end zone for the score from 18 yards away. 46-14 Wisconsin in the romp. The Razorbacks versus the Vols in Knoxville. Barry Lunny back to pass. Blasted. Tyrone Hines picks it up. He's gone. Trust me on this one. Would go back for the score for the Vols. 38-21. Tennessee wins it. East Carolina at South Carolina. The Pirates try the fake field goal. Matt Levine finds a wide open Scott Richards from 23 yards out for the score. Clemson and Georgia. Eric Zier looks good early. Cross field to Hazer Graham. Graham goes in easily. Wouldn't be all fun though for Zier. Trying something new. Running. Flipped, hit hard, knocked up in the air in the third quarter, would sit out the fourth. Georgia rolls anyway, 40-14. The Breeders. Alcorn State and Steve McNair hosting
TSU, McNair goes to one knee, thinking time had expired. Still one tick on the clock. Change of possession. Texas Southern takes over at the Alcorn State 9. Texas Southern coach Bill Thomas agrees. First down, our ball. Cedric Douglas has one last chance. Let's Hail Mary it. Get it into the end zone. David Thomas and Alcorn's Richard White both come down with it. Bizarre play. They're going to call this an incompletion. When you see what happened here, there's no way to possibly figure out how this could be incomplete. But they had 4 other blown calls that went against Alcorn State in the quarter, so Alcorn should have won anyhow. McNair for the year, 2,300 yards, 23 passing touchdowns. He rushed for 3 on the season as well. Arizona's losing at the half. Next SportsCenter in less than 2 hours. I'm Gary Miller.
I'm Steve Levy. Edge NFL matchup is next. See you.